the ultimate power, the Illuminists, are the ones that are going to bring America down, get us out of the way so that they can have their true global order, which is a communist world government ran by dictators or an oligarchy made up of them. So what is the solution? What can Trump do to avoid this? He can shoot down those satellites today.
Gary Haven's a smart guy. He says that they're setting Trump up with a trap with this North Korea thing. That's coming up the next hour.
Yeah, I tell you, I think time's getting short right now, and the whole North Korea thing is really staged. FDR said that nothing happens by accident, and so right now they've kind of sucked Trump into this trap where there is no good outcome. And after the break, we'll talk about the ultimate lid on this trap that we need to warn President Trump about. And the interesting thing is the deep state, who normally is orchestrating these things, is going to be a victim of what's going to be happening, which I think is particularly interesting. So how much time do we have left?
I'm writing a note here to name this segment a warning, an emergency warning to President Trump on North Korea. Or should we name this segment, North Korea is a globalist trap for Trump, deep state trap?
Yeah, except it's not the deep state that are creating this trap, which would normally be the case. This is a trap that is going to trap the deep state into something that they really don't want.
So they think it's a trap, and that's why I noticed the head kingpin, Lord Rothschild, has actually come out and said, this isn't Trump's fault. North Korea is out of control. We need to back off or need to regime change. So I'll find out what the really smart guy, Gary Haven, has to say in 70 seconds. Please tell friends and family to tune in. Check out the new website, newswars.com. The globalists, their minions, their mainstream media cohorts, and their bots are working around the clock to suppress and bully the free speech of the people of the world. But just as we did during the 2016 election, we're showing the bots, we're showing the algorithm that nothing can stop free peoples that are awake and alive and aware to what's happening. Now more than ever, it's time to spread the word. It's time to get active and stand up to these bullies and let them know we'll never be silenced. We'll never back down. We'll never go away, because we know the stakes are too high. We know the world they're trying to build is so oppressive, so dumbed down, so poverty-driven, based on selfishness and bondage and control, that we will never allow the dynamic human spirit that refuses to submit to be humiliated by their system just so these globalists can play God over the rest of us mere mortals. The tyrants of the New World Order are learning that we are men as well, and that we are standing against them in the information war, and we are winning. So for those of you out there on the fence, for those of you that have bought into the peer pressure, the hype and the lies, I assure you the New World Order is real. It is an existential threat to humanity and our future. It is blocking the development and deployment of incredible technologies that will empower humanity and take us to the next level. Please join me in this epic quest for truth, justice, and reality. I'm Alex Jones, and if you're watching this transmission, never forget, you are the resistance. Okay, crack this nut for us on North Korea, then we'll come back and get into the behind the scenes Trump's Christianity.
Okay. North Korea obviously has been the big story on the news the last couple of weeks, and for good reason. First of all, let me give you a little background on this thing. I made a movie called Amerigeddon a couple of years ago, and I wrote the script along with Mike Norris, Chuck Norris's son. And in the movie, we depicted what I call the greatest threat to the United States. And that was the fact that North Korea has 2 satellites that circle our country twice a day, right across the center of the country at the optimum altitude for something called a super EMP, or an electromagnetic pulse. And what that means is that North Korea has the ability to detonate this device. And according to 2 congressional studies, that if they detonated this EMP device, that electronics all across the country would be fried. Now, what does that mean? It means there's no electricity, there's no internet, there's no water, there's no grocery distribution, there's no gas distribution. And 2 congressional studies concluded that 90% of Americans would die within 12 months. Now, I thought this was a pretty important thing for the American people to know. And I had realized that the mainstream media was not talking about this. They were literally withholding this information. And our Congress, which had the power to pass laws to harden the grid and protect us from this very real threat, had done nothing. And in fact, they were bought and paid for and silent on this issue. And I wanted to do something about it. So I became an expert on EMP. So suddenly, here we are dealing with North Korea and the threat of ICBMs, and nobody is talking about the real threat, which is an EMP. You know, on Thursday last week, I went to the New York Times and I read every story on North Korea that had been written over the previous week to see if anybody in the mainstream media was talking about or warning the American people about EMP. And it was so silent on the subject, I realized that, of course, is by design. So what is it that's going on with Trump right now? Well, you know, he has been kind of prodded and sucked into this trap where, because of his blustering, he's going to have to do something if Kim Jong-un does something provocative. For example, Kim Jong-un threatened to detonate these nuclear devices somewhere near Guam, not over Guam, but somewhere near. Trump's going to have to back that up with something. His options, none of them are good. They include maybe a strategic nuke, you know, maybe hitting some of these weapons that are on the border of Seoul. And by the way, I've been to Seoul. I've got 400 curves in Korea, and so I've been there multiple times. They're very vulnerable to this maniac across the deal. So what's Trump going to do? And who benefits from the verge of World War III? Well, first of all, the deep state, which now has encircled Trump with his 3 generals, they control all access to Trump. They are part of a group that profit from war. And, you know, they want us in Syria. They want us spending tax dollars to fund their war machine. And the military-industrial complex, we all realize, really owns Congress at this point in time. And, of course, the corporatists, and I'm talking about pharmaceutical companies and big ag and big oil, and, of course, let's not forget big banks. They all, you know, have this globalism move that will enrich them. But let's not forget there's actually another paradigm above even the globalist, and they're the Illuminists. You know, the Illuminists have a different agenda. They want America to diminish. They want America to get out of the way because we're the only thing standing.
And that's why they want to take out Trump. They don't want to make America great again. So when we come back, finish up on this. Diamond and Silk are joining us, but I want to finish up on Korea and why you think it's a trap they're setting up for Trump, but it's a trap actually they're going to be caught in. Stay with us. We'll be back with Gary Haven.
So the end game of this is Trump's going to be faced with several bad choices. And when he responds, as he's going to have to do because of all the blustering he's done, the secret weapon that North Korea has is this EMP that I was talking about, this electromagnetic pulse. And if and when they detonate that thing, and 90% of Americans are at risk for dying, Trump is going to get the blame. And that's what they have in mind. And you got to remember but
it's funny you say that because they had an emergency black sky event they've never done last week preparing for this that got almost no coverage.
Yeah, and you know, they always tend to have a false flag, or excuse me, a drill whenever weird things happen.
An exercise.
And isn't that interesting that they got one for that as well? But at the end game, this is what's so fascinating about this. The deep state that wants war and corporatism is going to lose on this one because the ultimate power, the Illuminists, are the ones that are going to bring America down, get us out of the way so that they can have their true global order, which is a communist world government ran by dictators or an oligarchy made up of them. So what is the solution? What can Trump do to avoid this? He can shoot down those satellites today. Just simply.
And I know you're getting a message to the president today on that, and we're just going to leave it at that. But that's actually super smart because they're already threatening to fire missiles, maybe with nukes on them at Guam or Hawaii, Kauai, or Alaska, Anchorage, Alaska, or Chicago, Illinois. They can hit all of them. If that guy's saying he's doing this, he's got weapons up in space. We've got missiles that can shoot down satellites. Absolutely. And they've threatened that maybe they've got nukes on board to cause an EMP, jacketed in the right alloy to cause a larger EMP. We need to shoot those down immediately.
And Trump needs to know that. He's been set up on this. And even his deep state people that are giving him advice think that this is going to lead to more war that they profit from. He's got to shoot him down. That's the Trump card they hold over him.
And no one will even know what happened to him. That's the great. I mean, we've got satellite killers in space. No one will even know. We can kill them from space.
Yeah, easy as can be.
Hey, did you know that you can now preserve your own food for up to 25 years and still maintain its nutrition and flavor? That's right. Now's the time to build your own food storage with Harvest Right's freeze dryers. Go to InfoWarsStore.com to learn more and check out this innovative and smart technology that's easy to use. And let me tell you something, it is perfect for freeze drying fruits, vegetables, meats, dairy products, desserts, and entire meals. Woo, that's what I'm talking about. And when compared to traditional methods of preservation, like canning or dehydrating, like what you get at the grocery store, there is no comparison. Harvest Right freeze dryers retain 97% of the food's taste, color, and nutritional value and have a shelf life of up to 25 years. Now that's what I call the miracle of food preservation. Harvest Right is truly the world's best, most affordable freeze dryer. So what are you waiting for? Check it out right now at InfoWarsStore.com.